Afternoon, Adam Pennell, Shropshire lad here, back with another cook along. Not live today, I've pre-recorded this one just because I'm busy, so I'm not around to do it. But it's Friday now for you guys, and Fridays for me are a great day to have a kebab. So that's what we're going to make today. We're going to show you to make lamb koftas. We're going to make some pita bread. We're also going to make like a sort of like a chimmichurri, but a mint version that works with lamb, and an amazing feta and yogurt sort of sauce to go with it as well. I've got the barbecue lit, using the Weber today, just because she hasn't had a little ride out for a while. So the coals are lit. As always, I've got one side lit, this side, one side cool. So if you guys are cooking on a barbecue, get your coals lit and do that. Don't fill the whole grill because you're going to end up burning them. Lamb mince is particularly fatty, and you're going to find that we're going to get flare ups, and you'll see later on when I'm cooking. It's going to really help to have that space where we can move them to, so that we don't continue to get flare ups and end up burning them. Okay, right. So we're going to get started. First things first, we're going to make the actual kebabs themselves. So I've got 500 grams of lamb mince there. Into that, we're going to take, I've got rather a large red onion here, so I'm going to use half of that. I'm going to save half for the sauce, one of the sauces. Excuse my daughter in the background there, she's playing and making some noise, that's fine. Okay, half an onion, leave that to one side so you can see what's doing. Take the top off, leave the bottom on for this. We want to try and slice this into really tiny, or dice this even, into really quite small pieces really. So we're going to go straight along the grain first, all the way down, not quite cutting through the end bit, because that gives you something to hold on to. All the way down there, and then across as closely as you can. I want sort of like a millimetre square for these bits of onion, because they are going to go straight into the kebabs. And if you end up with two sort of bigger pieces, it doesn't help for the kebabs to stay together. Also, you don't want massive lumps of onion in the koftas. You just want them to sort of almost disappear by the time they're cooked. Right, so onion into the bowl, like so. Then we're going to add some spices. So I'm going to put all of this in together, but to let you know what's going in, we've got some smoked paprika, teaspoon, some coriander, a teaspoon, ground coriander, ground cumin, and black pepper. So all of that is going to go into the bowl there. Okay, and then salt. Now salt's quite important here. We're going to go for about two teaspoons of salt. The salt not only is obviously going to give it seasoning, but what the salt does is help for the mince to bind together as well. So it is really, really important for you. Those of you, some people don't like to use so much salt. It is important if you want them to hold together. Okay, so I'm just going to add that in, and then literally get my hands in and just mix all of that together. Just do it sort of up here so I don't rock this rickety table we've got. I'm just going to work that all together until we can't see any of the sort of lines that you get from the mincer, and we've got some rather nice looking, well mixed kebab meat. Oh, you know what I have forgotten, which is really, really important? Garlic. So I'm going to add some garlic. Completely forgot that. So we're just going to take sort of 3 cloves of garlic, I'd say. Probably enough, 3 to 4, depending on how big the cloves are. So I'm going to go with 3 big ones. Just going to chop that up. So bash it, bash it, bash it, peel it. So 1, 2, 3. Sorry, taking a little bit of time there. And then we're going to just give that a little chop. So again, we're going to chop this nice and fine, just because you don't want to get a massive mouthful of garlic in your kebab. You want it to sort of just work into the mince, and every mouthful should have a bit of garlic in it as well. So that means that the more, obviously, the smaller you chop this, spend some time chopping it backwards and forwards, So when you chop it, the further it's going to go through your kebabs and the more evenly flavoured they're going to be. Oops. Okay. Right, we'll go again with the mixer. Make sure you don't get any paper in there because that'll be a nasty surprise for somebody as they're eating. Right, so mix your garlic in. Okay, and then you're going to see, I'm going to bring it up close to you in a second. You're going to get some nice, well mixed kofta mince. Decent. Right, what we need to do now is divide that. I've got 4 rather large skewers made by my mate Alex Pole, who makes awesome iron cookware. I haven't road tested these for ages, but beautiful big skewers. So I'm going to make 4 large koftas. Obviously, if you've got smaller skewers, then you want to use, maybe make 6 or 8, or whatever. But best thing to do, whatever you decide to make, number. If you take the mince, if you like, and always try and do an even number because it's going to make it much easier to chop. But basically, for 4, I'm just going to get it into a rough, large sausage like that, gently with a knife so I don't cut myself. Slice that in half, and then that in half again, and then that'll give you a portion that's even. Nothing worse than when you're serving it up and somebody's clearly got the biggest kofta or the biggest burger. Try and make them even, because you don't want fights at the dinner table. It's supposed to be a chill time, not scrapping over bits of meat. Right, okay, so got that now. With the koftas, to make them, you just literally take a ball and just going to roll it in your hands, really. Roll it, roll it, roll it, and depends how, I wouldn't make them too thick, but I'd probably say somewhere around about 1 inch thick, perhaps, is good, like so. And you'll see it's quite bendy and quite sort of all over the shop, but that's what your skewers are there for. So I'm going to come up closer. So once you've formed it into kind of a decent sort of sized kofta, like so, just going to then insert the skewer. Okay, and once it's on the skewer, then work it again. Just make sure it's really tight. If you can kind of see bits of air pockets in this, then that means it's not been packed hard enough. Okay, so there we go. 1 kofta. Do that 3 more times, and you got 4. Okay, right, so I'm going to do that while I'm talking rubbish to you guys. Take a second one, hopefully I can do it a bit quicker. You won't be there all day. There we go, so just into a sausage shape. You can work it onto the skewer a little bit earlier if you want, if you feel that it's more comfortable, and then you can kind of squeeze it up the skewer to sort of give you some guidance to keep it straight. You can be a bit rougher with it when it's on the skewer, and then just round it off. It doesn't matter if the skewer's coming out the end a little bit. In fact, it helps because then you can rest it on the bowl like that. Oops, it says as it falls off, and the second one falls off. Never mind. Right, 3rd one then. So we'll start with hands, getting it into a rough shape. We'll get it in, get the skewer in, and then squeeze with your hand. I'm going to do this one up close. It's a good way of getting it longer is if you just literally just squeeze the meat with your hands. You'll see it's spreading out. We've got a cat that's just turned up. It's obviously smelt it. We fed him once, and he's never stopped coming back. Oh, dude. Can't see him. He's not worth seeing. I'm not going to move the camera, but he's there. What do you want? Right, 3 koftas. Last one. And you might want to space them out so that they have to topple over. Last one. So start with a relatively sort of sausage-like shape, and you should end with 1. The cat is really keen. It's like right behind me. Bless him. Right in front of me even. Behind the camera. Right. Kofta number 4. Almost there. That is going to be very similar in flavour to sort of like a doner kebab. I think you'll be impressed. Right. 4 koftas done. So if you're doing this in the house, I would suggest that these probably go under the grill, or you could try and get them in a frying pan. If you're going to do them in a frying pan, maybe just leave the skewers and just put them in the frying pan, because the skewer is going to make it really difficult to actually... You want to go? Cat man, he's going to jump on there any second. Right, yeah, so you might, if you're doing a frying pan, sack off the skewers and just make it into sausages and just gently cook them, you know? Don't want to cook them too ferociously, you want to make sure they're cooked through. Right then, so what I do need to do is wash my hands, so bear with me for 30 seconds, I will be back. Okay, I'm back. So, in an ideal world, I'm walking around here, you want to leave those now in the fridge for about half an hour, and that's when the salt is really going to help them to bind. And obviously, the fat that's content in lamb mince is quite high. If it's warming up outside, then the fat obviously gets looser. When when butter melts, it's kind of like it gets softer. It's exactly the same with animal fat. So, into the fridge, chill it down, and then get them back out when you're ready to go. I'm going to cook them pretty soon. In fact, I'm going to start cooking them now, just because I don't want you to be waiting, and we can just get on with the other bits as we go. So I've got my my grill here set up, ready to rock. It's burning quite hot at the moment, to be honest. I'm going to put the lid down there for now. And so I'm just going to use the edge of the grill just to sort of rest these on. I'm going to go 2, and you'll probably see there will be some flare-ups. Now the trick here is not to turn them too quickly. Okay, let some crust build up over the one side, and that will kind of mean that it's hard to explain, but once the fat gets to a certain point, there becomes a sort of a crust, and then you get a layer of like melting fat between the metal and the actual meat, and it means that it'll lift off. If you do it too quickly, it almost just sticks to it and it hasn't formed that crust, so you can't turn it properly. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then just trust me, okay? I'm right. Okay, anyway, moving on. Getting too big-headed. Right, next thing we're going to make then is one of the sauces. The first one being the chimmichurri, or not chimmichurri, it's like a mint, kind of, well, like a bit like a pimped up mint sauce, I suppose. Right, so we're getting flare-ups here now. Okay, so that means, so we've already got some grill marks on there. I'm going to move that across. In fact, I'm going to go here because it's not all fully contacted onto the grill. So I'm going to go that way. That's fine. Okay, cool. Just keep an eye on those as you go. This is some coriander. Looks like a little bit worse for wear, but for this it's absolutely perfect because I'm going to chop it really finely anyway, which bruises it. It's still going to have loads of flavours. That's all we need to worry about. As long as it's not going brown, it's all good. Don't throw it out, because you can always put it into a sauce or something like this. Right, they're flaring up pretty hard, so this is time when we're going to have to move them towards the edge here. So I'm going to move them into the cooler zone. They've already got some charring on those. That one's already burning because these coals are super hot. So that's why it's really important to have your different cooking zones. I'm going to just move that one slightly across for an more even cook, and same these this way, and then it's much more even. There we go. All right, they're looking good. No qualms there. Just keep them ticking. And then, so I've got the coriander's gone in. Put the rest of that to one side. I've got some mint here. I haven't got very much mint, unfortunately. I would suggest putting a bit more than I do in, but this is always left in the garden. And I thought I had more, but it's fine. Keeping an eye on those koftas, looking good. Okay, so we're going to chop the mint. I've forgotten my chilli, so I'm going to run in and grab that in 1 second. That can go in last. We're going to go in for half a lemon, or half the juice of a lemon, or the juice of half a lemon even. Back to the koftas because they are looking gnarly. That's good. You can push that even further out because they are cooking rather quickly. Or they're charring on the outside rather quickly. You don't want them to be cooked on the outside, like charred on the outside and not cooked in the middle. They're spinning around on the skewers a little bit, but that's okay. Just help them along with your hands if needs be. There we go, they're looking good. Just they're hardly over the flame at all now. They're completely the one side. Just shows how ferociously hot those charcoal, the charcoal is there. Right, the other half of this. What's that? Onion. My brain isn't in gear today. We'll use that now. So exactly the same as we chopped it for in the koftas. We're going to go along the grain first. Like that, and then across. And we're going to go back to those. They're sounding quite ferocious still. The coals are very, very hot indeed. So they could almost sit in the residual heat almost to finish now. Once you've got that char on, that's fine. We don't want it to cook too much more on the outside, so moving it further out isn't a problem. In fact, I'm going to spin that one round because the other side seems like the tips have cooked more than the top end just because of the way they've been positioned. So I'm just going to switch them around now. It's always about moving stuff around on the barbecue. But they are looking absolutely wicked. Can't wait to eat one, to be honest. Right, I'm going to go and grab a chilli, 2 seconds. Whoa, I don't know if you heard that. That's a cherry tree above me. It's like dropping cherries on us. Right, one chilli. Probably going to go for half a chilli actually because I've got Willow eating this and she's only 7 and I don't want her to be having her head blown off. She's getting better at eating chilli though, which is good. I've been training her up, just increasing the heat of her meals ever so slightly every day. Seems to work. I'm going to go in, you know, with the other half of this lemon, and I'm going to grab another lemon for the second part of the dish that we're doing because I just think it's going to need more lemon than I've brought out. So I'm sorry if I've only given you 1 lemon. Oh no, guys, at the youth club you've all got like 3 lemons, so that's fine. I made sure you had extra. Right, that's the chilli gone in. Okay, so other half of the lemon, so we are going to go with a full. You see, it's all right to change your mind. Full lemon juice in there. Sweet. Keep an eye on these koftas. How we doing? Spin it round. Lovely. Gorgeous. And again. And again. They are nearly done. Very nearly. 2-3 minutes. Right, so that's that in there. Now we're going to go for some honey. Into that. Tablespoon of honey. Maybe a bit more. Some salt, a good pinch of salt, and a good mix. And that is going to be sort of like a mint sauce, which is going to just garnish this and make it super delicious and tasty. Just taste that, so I know it's good. Incredible. Right, these are done. I'm going to put them right to one side just to rest in the residual heat. That chimmichurri is hot. Just lost one. Happens to the best of us. Come on. Woo! That is hot. Okay. Cool. They can just wait there. That's fine. Okay, so we've got that sorted. Next then, we're going to make the feta and yogurt sauce. So we're going to get got 100 grams of feta into the bowl. Use a fork just to mash up the feta, like crumble it. So it'll all crumble up in there. And this sauce is kind of like the yogurt's going to make it obviously like a sauce, but you kind of want to get little hits of feta in the sauce. So don't worry about getting all the lumps out. You've got like lumps like that in there, and then some finer bits as well, which is absolutely fine. And then we're going to go, I've only got little spoons with me, that'll do. We're going to go for about 100 mils of yogurt in there. Okay, going to go for some cucumber. Okay, so I'm just going to, with a cucumber, I'm going to cut it into sort of sections. Okay, and then into squares. So go long ways and then long ways. So that's going to go in like that. And then do the same with the others. 1, 2, 3, 4. And go across there. Go again. Those kofta sound like they're still cooking on that edge, but they shouldn't burn now. They're right on the other side of the grill. I'm not too worried about it. Okay. So that's all of the cucumber. Right, I'm just going to grab another lemon, as I said, because I used the first one there. I'll be back in 1 sec. That's also giving me time to grab my rolling pin, which I also forgot. 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, next thing then, so you're going to take your lemon, and we're just going to, first of all, if you've got a fine grater, just grate some lemon zest in there. You don't need too much, about half a lemon's worth of zest. I think it's fine. Cool. And then we're going to just add actually half a lemon juice as well. And it is going to be half this time. Try and get the pips in, which I just have. Whip those out if you get them in. There we go. And then give that a good stir. Mix it all together. And that's going to be awesome in your kebab. A bit different to what you're used to, but trust me, that is a banging accompaniment to that and the lamb. Real good. Okay. Awesome. 2 things done. Right, next thing then is the bread. So what we're going to do is just clear this down a little bit. In fact, no, what I want to do very quickly is get the salad ready so that we can just sort this out once the bread's done. I'm just going to take the edge off this red cabbage. And if you just cut that into very thin strips, as if you're making a coleslaw, take your time, get it as thin as you possibly can, because otherwise it's tough. If you get it really super thin, or even if you've got like what they called the things here, what are they called? Like not a grater, but I forgot what they're called. Mandolin. If you've got a mandolin, that's even better. Okay, I haven't got one with me today. Now, this stuff goes a long way, so that's probably not even that little bit off the edges. That's probably more than enough for the kebabs I'm making, but it can give you a lovely colour and vibrancy and crunch as well. Thinking about texture. Again, we're just going to chop up half a tomato. So we've got some tomatoes to go in there, and we're going to go the other half. There we go, excellent. And I said gem lettuce to you guys, which is ideal. Thought I had some, didn't have some, so I'm using some spinach, which is actually a healthier option. Fresh spinach, you know, works really well. So that's all good. Right, so we're going to put that to one side. We'll use that right at the end. And then just going to wipe this down with my cloth. And then we're going to make some dough. So we've got some flour here. I'm going to put some of this flour, about 500 grams you want. I'm going to put 100 grams on the table to be used to kind of mop all this up, basically. So, not mop up, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's been such a long day. what I'm doing is putting that on the table to use to help me to roll out once we're going to need it and stuff. Anyway, so 400 grams of flour. Talking absolute rubbish, Adam. 400 grams of flour. And he's forgot his water. This is going well. Right, big pinch of salt. Baking powder. Teaspoon. Another 100 mils, roughly, of yogurt. I'm going to just fire that in. Like so. And then we're going to just mix that through until it kind of bunches up and you get, I'm going to come and show you. You get kind of like lumpy bits in there, which is where the yogurt has mixed into the flour. Almost like when you're making a crumble, it goes like breadcrumbs a little bit. Put that to one side, go and grab some water, 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of water at a time. As I always say to you, you can always add more, but you can't take it out. Mix that right through. And basically just trying to bring this round to a soft dough that you can work on the table. So if you've ever made pizza dough or anything like that, it's exactly the same. Only we're not using any yeast because the baking powder will help it to rise anyway. You don't need the yeast. I actually made pizzas like this the other day. Well, you were watching, it was the cook along I did on Friday, not last week, the week before, at the 100 House, and we did this, and it was a test, and it came up amazingly well. So if you ever want to make pizza dough and haven't got any yeast, which has been an issue during the lockdown, there's been a real massive shortage of yeast, baking powder isn't a bad alternative. Not if you're making bread, but certainly for pizza dough. It does work. It's not the same, but it does work. All right. So now we've got that dough made. Just put that out of the way. Just going to get some of this flour. I'm just going to work it on the floured surface. Now I'm not going to put it into the floured surface while it's not sticking to my hands. So the flour's only there for that reason, really. If it starts to get too sticky, then use a little bit of flour, but not too much, because obviously the more you add to it, the drier it's going to get. And you want to get this dough at a point where it's just wet enough to handle, like without sticking to you too much, but it's not so stiff that you're like really having to push it. It should be soft and pliable and stretchy. Again, this dough would be much better left for half an hour, you know, or an hour, or you know, you could do this the day before and it'd be even better. You know, if you made those the day before, made the dough the day before, stick it in the fridge, and then you've only got like 5-10 minutes work, you know. So definitely a good thing to pre-prep stuff like this if you can. Right then, okie doke. So that will do. Should really need it a bit longer, but I don't want you to have to sit and watch me. So if you're doing this, try and really kind of stretch it out. When you start to feel the texture of this dough changes, I mean, a rest will really help that as well. But once you can feel that it's stretching and it's working in your hands and it's soft and it sort of feels like a good bread dough, then you're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to just make one really for now, so I can show you, and then we can get rid of this and I can make some more in peace. But so there's probably enough easily for 4, 5, maybe 6 pitas there. Depends on how big your koftas are as to how big you want to make them. So I'm going to go with 4 out of this one because I've got quite big koftas. So again, same thing, chopped in half again to get this right size. For a pita, obviously the shape of it is an oblong. So all you have to do is just make sure you start with a circle and you kind of work it one way really. So I'm going to work slightly across that way just to get the width I'm looking for. But then now it's going to be all lengthways. So it's a nice big pita that. Might even put a couple of koftas in there. Be super greedy. Just go long ways a little bit, so kind of pita shape there. And then literally I'm just going to cook that straight on the coals. So I'm just waiting now. The coals are cooled right down. If you've got blazing hot coals, do it next to the coals, not over them, because obviously it will burn quite quickly if you're doing it on really, really hot coals. So you want it to be a medium heat. That heat has kind of calmed down quite significantly since we started cooking, because I've left the lid off, so it burns away quicker. You want to conserve the heat and obviously put the lid on. The lid could also be helpful for cooking this. If you have got a lid on your barbecue, kind of turn it a bit more into an oven by putting the lid on. So we might try that, but it's not essential. So don't worry if you haven't got it. And if you're doing it in the house, just do it in a dry frying pan. So don't put any oil or anything in. Medium heat. Wait till it's hot. So you'll see there's bubbles rising quite significantly on that now. Just moving these kebabs off. Probably not going to bother with the lid because this is almost cooked anyway. I don't know if you can see that, but the bubbles are rising. So we're going to just flip that over now. I'm doing it by hand. You should probably use some tongs, especially you guys at the youth club. Don't get burnt. I haven't done a risk assessment for you while you're at home. You know, it's only if you're with me. You're on your own. You're your own responsibility when you're at home. Okay. This is looking sweet. Nearly there. Very nearly there. Just looking for a nice bit of browning and for it to puff up like a pita. A little bit longer. The lid might help just for 30 seconds. And then we're going to be good to put it together. So that was pretty quick, simple. I don't know what time we're on. Let's have a look. Oh, half an hour. It's usually about that. Not bad for a kebab from scratch, is it? Okay. Pita bread is done. So I'm just going to take a knife and just open her up. Ooh, it's quite hot to handle. It's all right. So we can get everything we need to go in there now. So, oh, it's really hot. I might actually let that cool for a second. In fact, I'm going to put it on top. It's going to be easier for you to see what's going on. But basically, yeah, you're just going to load up your pita breads now. You can eat it like a flatbread if you want. In fact, we'll do that. So we're going to put some of the lettuce on there, some tomato, some of this awesome red cabbage for colour and for crunch and flavour, and then we're going to go on with the koftas. So drop one, and two. Looking awesome, that. And then we're going to splodge on some of this feta sauce, and just dash it in a few different spots. Oops, just running over. And then finally, all over the lamb, got to get this awesome mint sauce. And we've done it. I'm going to bring it up to show you. Hopefully it's going to hold together. You're probably going to struggle to get all of that amount into one pita bread. There you go. Lamb koftas, baby. Hope you have a good Friday. Hope you have a good weekend. I'm Adam Pennell, Shropshire lad. If you've liked what you've seen, please like, subscribe and share to your friends. And I shall see you back. I'm only going to do it once a week now, I'm afraid. Just because I'm too busy. So back next Friday with something else. I haven't decided yet. Always up for suggestions. Hit me up. Let me know what you fancy and we'll make it. See you soon.